Welcome into another preseason series presented by the CFF site. My name is Joe DeSalvo. This one's going to be a little different. We wanted to do a series on some of the college fantasy football industry influencers that draft with us and have drafted with us over the last couple of years. This past year, we ran a series of 4 preseason best ball drafts. There were 10 guys that played in all 4 drafts, participated in all 4 drafts, and there was also a couple of other guys that participated in at least 2 of 4 of those drafts. So we've done these drafts now, these best ball drafts, for 2 consecutive years. We've posted the results in the preseason fantasy draft guide. And we wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to kind of give you some insight into some of the personalities and be able to put the faces with the names when you see their names in print in the preseason fantasy draft guide and you see their name on the draft grid. And so we wanted to do a little series for those guys, give them a little exposure for what they do in the college fantasy football community and the way that they, and for the influence and for as much as they kind of raise the banner and keep that going for college fantasy football. So this is sort of a thank you for those guys. I'm going to invite them in one-on-one. We're going to talk a little bit of college fantasy football, and we're also going to get fun with it as well. I'll ask those guys some questions. We'll make fun of some others in the group, and what we've established is a little bit of a sort of a fraternity amongst the college fantasy football industry influencers. And so that's what we're going to give you. All the shows are going to be between 20, 45 minutes for each person. And I think you guys are really going to love the personalities that come through in some of these shows. So with that being said, I'm going to take you right into the first series in which I sit down with Andrew Katz. I'll put Andrew Katz's, contact information, tag that along with the show. But I think you guys are going to really enjoy this one-on-one that I had with Andrew. The only thing that I regret is that I didn't tell him he could curse a lot sooner in there, because when it gets to the end, he surely starts dropping the F-bomb. So hope you guys enjoy it. Andrew Katz, everyone. So let's welcome in Andrew Katz. Andrew, nice to have you in. First of all, let's just kind of get this out. You're no stranger to the show, so a lot of the college fantasy football community can find you on Twitter at Andrew P. Katz, where you have self-proclaimed to throw out a bunch of college fantasy football nuggets here and there. If I'm going to go ahead and just say you're a Western Kentucky truther, are you not?
I am. About 60-70% of my tweets this calendar year have been relative to the Hilltoppers. If I knew we were recording today, I would have probably broken out my Hilltoppers shirt that's been biding its time. But given that you've grabbed Emory Jones in every single one of our drafts, it seems like a good thing that I've got this brand new Florida swag that I'm rocking today.
Yeah, look, I decided to just corner the market in our last draft, so I may as well just order myself a jersey. I think I may just go Gators jersey number 5 all the way. So here we go, man. Let's get into it, because we're going to have everybody on, and I've got 10 questions for you, some softballs here, and then we're going to really ratchet up a notch. Let's have some fun with this, man. So look, first of all, thanks for participating in a lot of the Best Ball League drafts this year. For you, just from a college fantasy football standpoint, what were just some of the biggest takeaways from all the drafts you've participated in up until this point? We're recording this now in the first week of August. So what's just, 1 or 2 biggest takeaways from the drafts that you've been in this year?
So if I've seen a draft posted on Twitter or anywhere, I've hopped in it, as long as there's money involved, some sort of financial commitment. I've tried to get in as much as I can when it comes to best ball. I want to get as much money down on as many of the opinions that I have and feel strongly about as often as I can, to try and make some money on what I feel like is the biggest edge when it comes to college football. That can be derived through the opinions that you formed in the preseason. Everyone, as the season starts to come into being, gets access to data on a more or less equal footing as the season starts to roll out. So best ball, I think, is unique in the sense that you can really profit from those preseason takes. So that being said, I've been getting into a bunch of Greg Brandt's best balls, his eliminators, and then I've been doing all of ours as well. And it's been a while, right? We had 1 through 3 pretty bang, 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 and then we had our 4th one just recently, but it was a bit of a gap between 3 and 4. So I had been getting used to all of that really cushy ADP that Greg had in his drafts, bringing in a lot of Debbie people, a lot of people that maybe used to campus to Canton, and I forgot how ultra aggressive our draft is. So when I mapped out what I wanted to do in our draft, I executed pretty well on my 1 through 6 picks, and then I was getting sniped left and right for about 10 rounds, just basically assuming that, oh, I'll be able to just like coast into Bailey Zappi, coast into some of the other guys that I love and want to get my hands on. It didn't really work out that way. I was more or less able to draft a lot of players that I like, but it was frustrating losing a lot in the middle rounds as well. So
yeah, I think the one unique thing about our draft, the reason why I like to do the best ball so early is because there's value in knowing early and moving early. You know, we wrapped these up before the month of August got here. At this particular point with camps about to open up, I think information is going to sort of saturate the market. I think you're going to see college fantasy football owners gravitate certain ways now in mass. And so that's why I like to have them early. But to your point, when you're doing 3 and 4 drafts with the same guys, by the time you get to draft number 4, you've got to move early. And the last draft that we had, I drafted Emory Jones. Of course, I was the 2nd overall pick. So that had me coming back at getting picks 23 and 25. I think I was probably on board to draft another quarterback at that point, but I was already all in with Emory Jones at that point, which is the reason why I just took him, because I didn't think he would make it back to me. And even if he did, I just didn't want to take a chance on losing out. I figure I may as well, what's the point of having them in 90% of the drafts? May as well take them in 100%. So that was my thought on there. So here's the next question for you. Based on the rosters that you have, fantasy rosters, what player do you need? What 1 or 2 players you really need to have a big year based on your investment?
So I'll answer that question 2 ways. I had such strong conviction on a few players that when we first started out, and I assumed I was going to get Gibbs, Jeff Sims, a few other players in every single one of my drafts. And in reality, I haven't gotten nearly as much as I initially thought I would, as their APPs have started to rise, and I haven't necessarily adjusted. That being said, I mean, 2 of the players that I have the most of and need big years out of, I would say, are Tanner Mordecai and Calvin Turner. I think that you're starting to see more and more appropriately about Calvin Turner. And the way I think about it is, why doesn't Hawaii just build the entire island out of Turner, right? Let him do everything. And
I'm with you, man. I'm starting to come on board a little bit more Turner than I was in February, March, and April. So I'm with you on that. I think you might have gotten him at a good price early on.
Yeah. And in half PPR, he's probably not as valuable as full PPR, but I think that he's still, like, I've been grabbing him mostly in round 4, I would say, every now and then, between 5 and 8 as well, and even as early in 3 as round 3. But I mean, if they utilize him how I would hope and expect him to, I mean, I can see him returning round 1, 2, 3 value. So I'm fine with that. And with Tanner Mordecai, right, it's just a bet on him attaining the SMU QP job, which I'm not. I mean, if he doesn't win that job, something went horribly wrong, but then maintaining it throughout the entire year.
But did you handcuff him with Preston Stone and
I haven't grabbed Stone anywhere. I mean, I love Stone for dynasty purposes, like everyone who plays CFF dynasty should and does. But for this year, I am very reasonably confident that Mordecai does maintain the job, and if he does, he's going to put up great numbers just because of all the weapons around him.
Gotcha. Now, here we go. This is where we turn it up a little bit. We turn the corner, right? This is where we get into the fun part. What player that you're rooting for hopes to just have a flop year, and why?
So you want to know what player I'm rooting against more than any other? This is such an introspective question to some degree, because I'm wearing a Florida shirt today, which I consider just lighting the thing on fire when it came in the mail, because I'm a diehard Georgia fan. But as a home field subscriber, I get all these shirts, and I already used my one cancel on Tennessee, so I had to have the shirt come in. It's a great shirt, so I was like, I'll wear it, fine. But as a diehard Georgia fan, you would think that I am always rooting for all of our players. But as good of a feel-good story as Zamir White is, overcoming 2 ACLs, having the starting role. I have never seen anything special whatsoever out of him as an actual player on the field. And the phrasing that I have for him going into this draft season is kind of out of the movie Rounders. I don't know if you've seen it, but if you can't spot the sucker in the first 10 hands being in the room, or whatever the verbiage is, you are the sucker. If you draft Zamir White this offseason, you are the sucker. Like that, and he's going at a respectable, like at a material ADP where you're investing real draft capital to attain him. In all the best balls that I've been doing, I've seen him going rounds 10 to 15. And what are you really hoping happens there? I guess you're hoping that he falls into some touchdowns, but I really don't see it at all. He's 3 to 4 yards a carry for 10 to 15 carries, splitting time with 3 or 4 other running backs in an offense that should project to be more pass heavy than ever.
Yeah, I think with White, I don't know how much of a ceiling you can expect him to have. I think what you're just hoping for is that George is going to be so dominant that he's going to run into 75, 80 yards and a touchdown every week. And really, I mean, are any of us expecting much more than that? And look, there's some for P5 and maybe SEC only leagues. That's great, right? But I'm with you on that. So, but let's let me ask you this. How many college fantasy football leagues do you play in roughly? Do you have a count?
So I'm in, I think about 15.
Okay. So here's my next question. How many do you think you're going to win?
Of the best balls that I've done, I would like to win 5 or more. And for my redrafts, which I'll probably have between 6 and 8, I would like to win at least 2 to 3.
Okay, so there we go. We got you on record. Let's see how we do in the year. Here we go. What's one of the most annoying thing fantasy owners do during a draft that you can't stand? What's the biggest pet peeve?
The only people that will do this are the people that we actually play with. And it's calling out the players that I'm going to draft. It feels very much like this only happens to me. And I think it's because I am such an influencer within our community that I actually make ADP for so many players. And I think that they're frustrated that they just don't have the same pull, and that so many players that are attached to myself, these players that we play with, the people that we draft with, nobody knows or cares what players they gravitate to because they don't make the waves that I do. So
you walked right in. Well, okay, so go ahead. I'm gonna let you put a capper on this.
I think it's jealousy that they have. It doesn't make it less annoying or frustrating at times, because it definitely gets under my skin, and I do allow it to influence me a little bit more than I should. So it's something I can work on to maybe turn 2 to 3 wins into 4 or 5 next year. But everyone can always improve.
Well, you just basically set up my next question, because on a scale of 1 to 10, Andrew Katz, rate yourself as a college fantasy football expert and explain your answer by putting a little color to your context.
I think very highly of myself, but at the same time, I think that anyone across the college fantasy football landscape needs to acknowledge their strengths and weaknesses and build a foundational community of people and resources that they can go to and know that they can go to and trust for information, in the sense that I think if you actually try and cover all 130 teams yourself and have other aspects of your life that actually are meaningful to you in any way, you're going to fail. When like 5 years ago, I was able to devote that kind of time. Maybe now, not at all. So I will actively throw out and exclude certain parts of the player pool, I would say, just because I know I'm not going to have any sort of informational edge or advantage. And I'll know, like, okay, for SEC, like, I can talk to these people. I might have established a relationship with these people when it comes to other teams. So I think that knowing your blind spots, knowing your weaknesses, leaning into your strengths makes you a better player. And I think that that's one of the things that I pride myself on. That, and also being willing to shoot my shot when it comes to the opinions that I have is also something that I think the applicable term is the asymmetrical upside associated with it, right? So when you hit on those shots, it's so much more meaningful than when you miss. That's what's going to win you your championships. And I mean, I think that I'm a pretty good shooter.
So from a 1 to 10, what do you give yourself? You sidestepped it. I'm not going to let you off the hook. Give me a number.
Let's do 8.6.
There you go. Okay. I love the 0.6, by the way. It's probably very warranted. Here we go, man. Let's have some more fun. If you don't win this year's college fantasy, the CFF site's college fantasy football gauntlet, and if I don't set it up in the pre-show, there's 10 of us that are playing in all 4 leagues. We're going to put together a side pot, come up with a point system to determine an overall winner. If you do not win that, who is the one guy that you just hope finishes behind you? Who's the guy that you need to beat more than any other that you would just love to see finish last in this thing?
Such a good question.
Yeah.
Put a 3-way tie.
I love it. Go ahead.
Between you, Mike, and Kyle.
Okay.
I would say that stems from the 3 of you. I would say also not and refusing to conform to others' expectations when it comes to your drafts. And as much as I respect that, I would like to be more right about the opinions that I'm forming than you are. And by that conclusion, I'd like you to be wrong.
Yeah, I'm sure, because you probably use my rankings as a baseline. So anyway, here we go. I love that answer, by the way. You got me a little defensive, and I love that. That's what this is about. Beer or cocktail?
Cocktail.
What's your choice?
Sazerac's my favorite cocktail.
Gotcha. Do you use any foul language, curse words?
Way too often, yeah.
What's your go-to phrase or word?
I mean, the F word is just a regular adjective in my life.
Okay, well, I'm gonna put like no kids on so we can say fuck if we want to. So I'll edit that on YouTube. So
all right.
Anyway, here we go. 2 more questions. Who's the most annoying guy in the group that we draft with?
It's gotta be Kyle, right? I mean, but that's part of his shtick. He's that kid on the court in the pickup game that's always talking. And I mean, you have to, like, I think about this a lot in the context of sports, like actually being on the field. And like, if you're a cornerback that can actually talk shit and be effective at the same time, I think that speaks to the way that your brain works, that you can actually be that concentrating that hard on what you're doing physically and mentally at the same time. So, and I think to some degree it's the same thing with the shit that Kyle talks during drafts. Like, that's his brain firing on multiple cylinders. So you gotta give credit where credit's due there.
How many leagues that you've played in with Kyle that he's ever won?
Good question. I don't know. I don't know if it's any more than a goose egg.
Okay, I like that. All right, so here we go. Final question. This is fun. Take it wherever you want to go. You get a night out with the guys. You can take any 3 of us from the group. Who you taking? What are we doing?
Chris, so that we can finally graduate beyond internet friends. I've been talking to the guy on internet since like 2011. He recruited me, or I applied to do college football videos with him on Lou Dogs back in the day, and I guess no one else applied, so he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So it'd be cool to finally graduate from internet friends. You live near New Orleans, right? So
yeah,
you could probably make sure that everyone's having fun, having a good
I'll show you a good time.
Yeah, so you can be in. And then,
well, thanks for including me in the group, by the way.
Yeah, we need a chaperone. So
well, yeah, I'm sure. Okay.
And then
I thought you were going to say we need a dad to kind of keep an eye on us. So, and then who we bring in with us? One more. It could be just for shits and giggles.
Kyle, yeah, we need Kyle's mouth with us too. See if he shoots it off in person as much as he does on the internet.
There you go. Hey, look, Andrew, I can't thank you enough for doing everything. This is going to be a unique show when this hits. But I can't thank you guys enough. Every year, this is 2 years in a row we've done this best ball series, and it's been a lot of fun. And you're right, just with having the CFF site, it gives me a chance to kind of recalibrate a lot of the homework and research that I've done in the off season as well, by having a lot of you guys that are really tuned in and really glued into the college and wired into the college fantasy football world, man. So thanks for taking a few minutes for us and sharing it. I can't wait to get this posted. Any parting words before we get out of here?
Let's just have a fucking great season, and let's just have it be a real college football season this year. Knocking on wood, like, I'm so ready. Let's fucking do it.
Let's do it, man. Hey, look, thanks again, Andrew. We'll talk later, man.